In that framework, though, if you have, say, Christians attending the event, and I'm certain that there will be, because any event you'll get evangelists who come in, set up their tents, set up their crosses, set up their tracks. How are they then received or perceived by the rest of the attendees? Because usually that becomes an antagonistic approach.
Right. Great question, Lenny. So yeah, there are Christians who attend, and there have been a few for a number of years. My friend Bob Worley, who was my partner and still is my partner with the Camp of the Unknown God, that's our little camp. He's been going out to Burning Man since, I believe, 1996 or 1997 with a small handful of friends just looking to do outreach. And for the most part, he's had some good interactions. He's had some hard interactions as well. And this year we saw we had 3 or 4 different examples of Christian outreach at Burning Man. One was a pamphlet or almost like a magazine style publication that was being handed out at Center Camp, and it was cringy. It was photos of scriptural passages with lots of underlining and highlighting and writing in the margins.
The Jack Chick School of Theology.
Yes, except it was worse because within the brochure, it was obvious that the author was referencing himself as the watchman that God has now ordained and set up to come and speak to these people. It was just, it was just cringy. We have another group that we had some interactions with who they talk about God as the Spirit of truth, and will do drumming and card readings and basically use the same trappings as the New Age or as Burning Man in order to try to create this bridge. I'm not keen on that idea. In fact, I have real problems with that idea because you're not making that proper distinction. And you can make a proper distinction if you're honest. That's so important. We ran into another team doing evangelistic work around the temple. I think it was on Tuesday night, Monday night or Tuesday night, I can't remember which. And they had said to us that they had brought 250 people to Christ already. We ended up talking to one couple who had been approached by these evangelists, and they were angry because at the temple is a place where you are going to release your hurt. You're looking for catharsis. You're looking for healing. The temple becomes basically a 7-day-long, 24-hour funeral, and people are pouring out their emotions. It's a place where people are vulnerable. And so it really causes even us in our little team to ask the question, how do we interact with the temple in a way that isn't leveraging their emotional weakness? Because we don't want to do that. But it was interesting to see how this team was involved around the temple. And this couple that we had talked to afterwards were like, yeah, we just said the prayer to get them out of our, to get them away from us. Because they had disturbed our mourning. They had disturbed our grief, our outpouring of grief at the temple. And they believed it was completely disingenuous. We had some good talks with these people. I think their motive was right. Again, approach becomes really important. How do you do this? So part of why I go to Burning Man is to engage in outreach. Primarily, I'm a researcher. I don't consider myself an evangelist. Nevertheless, for some bizarre reason, it's not bizarre. I believe God's hand is in this because of just simply some of the fruit that we've encountered now. And so we have our little camp. It's called Camp of the Unknown God, based out of Acts 17. And this year, I don't know why this year, but this year we had so many conversations for Christ. We had a team of 8 people. I was anticipating we could probably get 500 surveys done because of the size of our group. What a joke. Maybe we got 25 or 30 done. Because every day we would have multiple conversations, many times going on for hours. At one of the workshops, I'll give you an example, and I think part of why this worked this year is because we understand the culture, we understand the thinking, and for some reason, our little team, myself included, we were fed up with the BS, with the garbage that we were hearing at the workshops. And so usually as a researcher, you just let it flow, you take your notes, you don't interfere, because proper research doesn't look to interfere. Otherwise, you're going to taint the data. This time, for whatever reason, our hands would go up, and we would challenge the underlying assumptions respectfully. We weren't doing this to cause a problem, though there was times when the speaker, because we'd be doing these, we'd be doing this at workshops. There were a few times when the workshop presenter would be, you could see that person was upset. In fact, I had one guy literally grabbed the mic out of my hand when he realized it was going to undermine his entire presentation by asking one simple question.
Yeah.
And it was awesome because people later came to us and were going, can we talk? Can we talk? What you said made sense. Can we talk? Yeah, absolutely. So that workshop that I had talked about earlier, where the discussion was around giving nature the same legal rights as humanity, I couldn't take it. My hand went up, and I said something to the effect of, beavers aren't having these conversations. Ducks and geese aren't having these conversations. The fact that we're having this conversation, whether you're pro or con, this idea of giving nature the same legal rights as humanity demonstrates we have a value above nature. And the moderator just stopped. And all I did was challenge the underlying assumption of his oneness, that we are all the same. And in asking this question, I had a lady sitting right beside me. She turns, she looks at me, her hands go up, and she goes, "You're right." And then she's like, "Can we talk afterwards?" And her and her boyfriend, we end up talking, and our team was there. And I give the people at Earth Guardian Camp, and that's where the workshop was being held. I give them credit. They did not interfere. They saw that we were having an intense conversation afterwards with this couple. We were praying with them. Tears were rolling down their faces. And we were probably there for a solid 3 hours after the workshop was done. Like, we closed the place down. And we had this incredible conversation. The next day, I was at this couple's camp. I delivered them copies of my book. I invited them to our morning devotions, because every morning we were going to one chapter in the Psalms, just as a team. What was meant to be nothing more than that. And then the next morning they show up, and we're reading through Psalm 51. And again, the tears are running down their faces because they recognize in Psalm 51 that they're the same people, that they are just as David. All they can do is trust in God. They can't save themselves. And it would open up more conversations. And so they would stick around for another usually hour to 2 hours every morning after we were done our devotionals. And we did this all the way through the event, to the point where on Sunday morning, they had dragged somebody in off the street, a stranger to them. They just simply said to them, "Come to church with us." And all of a sudden, they were in our morning devotionals, and they stick around till like mid-afternoon or late afternoon. I actually have to leave because I had other commitments, but the rest of our team stayed there. And for the full week, we were sharing the gospel with these two people, helping them wrestle through it. Now, the girl, ex-Catholic, playing with Wicca. The man, Hermetic magician, looking to exert his will on the playa and have the playa exert its will back to him. So those are the worldviews coming in. Mm-hmm. And that's just one of oodles of conversations that had that level of depth to it. We had so many conversations with, I don't think we had any pushback, with the exception of a couple of moderators in the workshops who didn't like their assumptions being challenged.